Well, hello again. It's Paul from the Ski Instructor Academy. I'm sitting next to Andy from Snow Camps Europe, and we're continuing to look at the feedback from the channel for the last few videos, because clearly there's a great audience out there. And of course, there's an audience, not everybody will be giving us positive vibes. I understand that. Which I love, of course, because it bothers me so much, Andy, doesn't it? I have sleepless nights when I get nasty comments.
You do.
So let's jump on to ski drills. Straight away, we had guys saying spot on, guys. If we don't understand why we're doing a drill, what are the key elements and how to do it and how we're going to do it right, and aware of possible side effects, which is what the Gepartas 888 said, we're not going to succeed, And this is interesting because I did see my friend, I didn't watch the video, I'm really sorry, Tom. But Tom Gelly was doing, what did he call the double pole drag?
You probably didn't have a spare 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I didn't, but I will ring you, Tom, I promise. I promised I'd ring you in November, and it's now February. But it's been a stressful season. And he called it, I can't remember what he called it, the double pole drag, we call it, or the like when you've got swords out to the side and you're dragging the poles along the floor. And he obviously, and I haven't watched the video, but I'm guessing that he shows a progression of this drill and how fantastic the drill is and how it brought this skier, closer into a better position. Maybe he's closer to the ground with a hip and better angulation, etc. Which it does. But this guy has rightly spotted out, the Gepartas 888, is the side effect to that drill, which you have to be aware of. A lot of people get caught back, seated at the wrong point, because it's almost they're dragging the poles to the side, so they now don't have that correct arm alignment that they used to, shoulder alignment, because you've now done something different with your internal external rotation within your shoulder, and it can have a diverse effect. Now, I know Tom, of course, he's really expert in getting his message across and being aware of the side effect, and I'm sure that he monitored her closely, or him, and made sure that the side effect didn't affect that person. But we have to be aware that, and this is another comment made very, very clever from, I'm just going to skip forward to Greg, I think he was called, Greg Park. Because he says, it disappoints me seeing instructors do a watch and follow me drill, then ski long distances without even looking back at the students, failing to see if they've grasped the concept being taught. Now, it's a great point, because there's no point in explaining a drill and then skiing off. And I've seen this so many times from the chairlift as you watch a ski instructor go down. The ski instructor's so absorbed, he's really enjoying the drill himself. He's thinking, God, this feels so good how I'm doing it.
He's getting the most out of it.
Yeah. Whereas the group behind him's already, one's fallen over, one's dropped one of his poles dragging them, which is the common thing when you do the double pole drag. Yeah, one's done a 360, and the other guys aren't in line anymore, and they're all over the place, and he hasn't bothered. And one of the things I remember, Elaine, a friend of mine from Basie, and she would say, ski instructors often end up with a really, really poor position when they ski, because they spend most of the day looking over their shoulder. And it's true, you do. If you're a good ski instructor, you do spend a lot of your time glancing left and right over your shoulder to assess how that performance is going, especially when doing a drill. And Greg goes on to say as well, which is another point that we all get wound up and frustrated about as ski instructors, is that each successive person changes the turn shape. I mean, he refers particularly to how people are affected in the initiation phase of the turn, and they shorten it in effect, or snap it.
Start cutting the corner.
Cutting the corner, as he says. And this is something, as a ski instructor, you have to be super disciplined at. To such a point, one of my tricks, and one of my non-drills again, is I often drag my ski, snap my ski pole between my hand and wrist and lock them in, and actually drag them hard on the floor and put a line in the floor. And I tell the student, you have to rub that line out like you've got yourself an eraser, and you must stay on that. And I purposely purposely have a little bit of extra patience and roundness at the top. It's almost like a stalled turn, a stalled initiation. And that's a great way to give people a physical, like a line that they can see in the ground and they can just focus on that. It's interesting how that affects beginner skiers particularly.
Yeah. I have to say that I stole that off you because
you owe me money.
You did it with me, 10 years ago. You went, right, Andy, ski on this line, because we were doing something, and you went, right, follow this line, and I did it. And I've used that drill over and over again. It's a cracking drill.
It's cracking, isn't it? It's like so simple.
Yeah. And when we say drill, it's not really a drill.
No.
Because all you're doing is saying ski, but stay on this line. Yeah.
And this is where you need to learn as coaches, outputs affect inputs, inputs affect outputs. So we're talking, when we say outputs, you can talk about line, speed, these sort of things. Inputs are when we're talking about the mechanics and what are you doing with your body. Now, just by drawing a line, and if that person stays on the line, they must therefore be doing something similar to what you want them to do with their inputs, with their body management skills. Okay, so this is really a great point. So I mean, a massive thank you to Greg for that. If I scroll up, I'll stay with the drills section because I don't want to. There's so many other comments. This guy, the alien robot. I've never seen somebody learn anything by doing drills. To me, the purpose of a drills is to help build muscle memory for things you already know how to do, but aren't your baseline neutral, instinctive way to ski. I think of there being a pyramid with proper equipment alignment set up at the bottom. Okay, so he's using like a pyramid idea, saying the foundations need to be right. You need the proper boot alignment, you need the proper equipment, you need etc., which enables the learning what the movements and positions are, enables building muscle memory, etc. You have to go in this order. You can't just do drills. If the fore and aft balance is off, or they don't already understand exactly what good skiing is, how are they lacking? Okay, it's just me, blah, blah, blah. A strange echo. Yeah, guys, sorry about the strange echo. That's my fault because I didn't bother. We're obviously in a big area here. It's about 40 square meters. And I forgot to adjust the sound on the reverb afterwards and everything. And yeah, I was in a hurry. I was under pressure. So I'll make sure I adjust the sound on this one. Great video, nice one, chaps. Thanks for your candour and your emotion, Paul, says Braxile. I did get a bit excited on the drill one. And yes, basic fundamentals is the purpose of a drill. A drill is a small, specific piece of... So it's good that he recognised the idea of chaining things and sees it more of, like, you look at somebody within their turn, let's say, and you say, right, there's issues there at the apex or the initiation or the end. Let's see if I can do a drill specific to this area of the turn or something. So he talks about this. It comes down to that. Pat Ryan, of 82-year-old, I'm going to leave you for the second, Pat, because I really want to go to first Misha von Edelstein, who he makes my day. He hates me so much. And, just a little bit of advice, by the way, Misha. When I come in at night time and, we're going to put something on Netflix, I don't come in and go, you know what we'll watch tonight? We'll watch that series that I absolutely effing hate. Let's sit and watch that for 30 minutes, and then afterwards we'll whinge about it. Just don't watch it, and just don't subscribe to this channel. It's the easiest way. But please do subscribe, because actually I really find your comments quite interesting. So Misha had a really strong opinion about myself and Tom Gelly, but he even starts ranting on about fore and aft pressure and saying, why do you even consider fore and aft pressure, which is quite an interesting thing, because I would ask him, how can he walk, run or jump if he doesn't consider fore and aft pressure as an important part? Just stay in the middle of the ski. Now, in fairness to Misha, what he's doing is probably echoing what is said in a lot of ski books and by ski people. Now, I know a lot of people on social media tend to echo other people. And I see this a lot when people are what I would call technique coaches, and they hear somebody say something and they just believe it without questioning it. Now, as a mechanics coach, you do look at things differently, because you're aware of things like coupled motion and how the body works. So you would question people more. I know it can be a bit of a skepticism, but that skepticism educates you differently. Now, Misha's right that a lot of people say stay in the middle. You know, the ski's a moving platform, and as it moves down the hill, if you can stay in the middle of it, surely that's the answer. And as it has a camber, and I'm staying in the middle, it should be blah, blah, blah. That's just what he argues. You can read his comment there. It's quite a rant. But Misha needs to understand that actually Tom and I are right. We're looking at it from a different side, and we can scientifically give you fact and proof as to why fore and aft on a ski is very essential to learn. And the reason you don't like it possibly, Misha, just a little dig, is that it's the realm of the expert. Good skiers stay in the middle of the ski. Expert skiers know how to use the length of the ski. Be a little bit more open-minded, Misha, and try and think about breaking some of those barriers that you have there and consider maybe others' opinions. He goes on to say on another comment that the worst drill that he's ever seen was when I put the ski poles in the waist of the students and made them bend forward and they all went down frozen. You made me laugh at that one. You always make me laugh, Misha, but in contrast, Pat, you quickly made me smile because Pat says, I'm 82 years old. And I have been a student of the sport for a long time. This is the single best 36 minutes of ski instruction. She's referring to trainee instructor group Breaking the Habit that I did, that I've ever seen. You could pay hundreds, even thousands, Misha,
bring it on,
for ski instructors and not top these 36 minutes. So I really appreciate that, Pat. Obviously, you know, you definitely make me smile, and I appreciate the comments as well. But I also appreciate Misha as well. From the Danish ski school, Emil Ferent, he says that as an example, their approach is to identify what's the single best step for a student to take in their development and then focus on that. Drills, possibly. Dialogue, depending on the level. So again, it's correct. You know, everybody wants to, it's like we say when I do like this week or next week, I'll probably do analysis with the group. And I'll say to them, look, when we do this analysis of skiing and they're practicing their ideas, there's no right or wrong way. There's just a quicker way sometimes to get somebody from A to B in their progression. But a lot of the times it can be unfair when we observe somebody just on a video because we don't know the history of that person. You know, you can't ask a video, oh, are you an office worker? Do you sit in front of a desk? Do you have a family of 2 little kids? Do you train a lot in the gym? Do you have other sports? You can't ask that. You just see their skiing.
Yep.
And that's it. And you've then got to make a comment based on that. Of course, John's there, John Jacoby. Timing is everything. Knowing when he's right. Knowing when to introduce the drill. It's to adapt a strategic skill. In taking it and making it a fun drill as well, he says, which is really important. David Drake will not go on about the ski boot thing. He's not happy with me, but we're not doing ski boot, we're doing drills. Guys, I'm in Canada. He wants to ski with us in March. Okay. Misha, I'm surprised you got through on this one,
Who is
Misha.
it in Canada?
Scott Dillon. He's a Canadian level 2, but he's likely to find himself next to us in March and wants to ski with us for a couple of days. Misha then comments on one of my other videos, and I'm surprised he got away with it because he's using some very bad language, and normally YouTube doesn't like it, but it's Nathan, by the way, if you just type in Nathan into the Google or into Instagram, you'll see him. He's like a Canadian. He's just married a Finnish girl. Was it Finnish he married? Oh, you don't know who he is, do you?
I don't know who he is.
I think he's just married a Finnish girl. Really nice guy. Really nice guy.
But on the Canadian point, we have got another Canadian coming to ski with us in March as well.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah. Is that for the Mogul camp or is that?
No, it's the other camp. It's the Snow Camps camp. So 12th, 13th of March for a week. So we've got a Canadian on that, and then we've also got a Canadian joining us in April as well.
We've had a lot of, what was the most interesting thing with Ski Instructor Academy this year is how many Americans we had on the course.
Yep.
I have never seen that many Americans.
Frank the Yank.
Frank the Yank, yeah.
Frank the Yank.
Yeah.
And Fred and Frank, funnily enough, are both Yanks.
Yeah. Fred Brooks, yeah. We've had a lot of Americans doing the ski instructor at the Austrian courses.
And no surprise, I know we're going off on a tangent, Irish people, because obviously they can work. They can work. There's a lot of Irish people.
Landwy, I found teaching bunny hops only railroad tracks on the ground and turning in the air. To students, it's very humiliating for them. Very few skiers show proper upper and lower separation of middle of ski balance to be able to do this drill first time. However, I find this drill stays with the students and they practice it, blah, blah. Yeah, great comments on the drills. There was loads of them. Great comments. Coming back to freezing people and fore and aft balance and things like that, it just dawned on me because I don't teach very much, but one of the trainers was sick. It probably was Andy. No, it wasn't you actually. I can't remember who it was, but I had to go up and teach on a Monday. Now, Andy, that group that we have that are really good skiers, I think one of the groups, they've obviously got a lot of weeks behind them, but a couple of great skiers. And I took that group out for a morning. And it was the first time on snow. They just arrived on the course. And I remember skiing down with them. And I was doing some of this exaggeration stuff that Pat was commenting on. And then I noticed that one of the guys, Charlie, was a very good skier. He's the guy with a weird haircut. And he decided he would...
mullet.
Yeah. Well, he sort of chopped it himself. Well, somebody must have chopped his hair for him, but it didn't do a very good job. But anyway, he was a very good skier. And there was 8 skiers there. And what flagged up to me was, and I changed track during the lesson because of Charlie, because I looked at him and went, he is doing something that the other 7 aren't doing. And I stopped the group in the flat between the trees on the bicycle where it goes flat. And I said to them, I'm going to now ask you to do something. And I says, I'm telling you now, only one person can do it. And it's not me. It's, I was talking to a student. And I told them that with no speed. So we're starting off, we're doing the short turn thing that I often do.
Big movement, yeah.
Yeah. So I said to them, right, I says, we're going to go off and you've got to keep your skis parallel. You've got to make a short turn. They're on virtually at like 4-degree, 5-degree angle. Yeah. It's very flat. And of course, naturally, any normal skier will want to gather some speed before they turn, because we'll talk about this maybe in later podcasts, the importance of it. But taking out the speed element would, for example, teach our friend Misha how important fore and aft is. Because without fore and aft, and this was the problem, the problem with the other 7 skiers in the group was, like Misha, don't understand fore and aft. They're sitting in the middle of the ski. They're good skiers. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're good enough probably to pass a level 2 as they are. They're good skiers. But Charlie, this guy, he had something that they didn't have. So I set off and said, look, watch me. I'm going to go off. I'm going to literally go 1 meter and then I'm going to start making short turns. And if I did that. The rest of the group started coming down. And of course, they trip up, they stem, the skis are all over them, they catch their edges, they can't do it. Charlie comes down absolute perfect. Yeah. Like, looks better than I do, with my dicky knee. Comes down looking awesome. And I said, guys, did you see that? And they're all going, oh, that's impossible. It's not possible to do that. I says, can you watch Charlie? And Charlie does it again. And I says, Charlie, can you explain what it is you do? And of course, he can't. He can't explain. He can do it, but he can't explain it. Yeah. And this is so important that at this level, good skier, he can't explain, but he did sort of say, look, I'm pitching myself forward and back, which, okay, I get the idea, the concept. So in this case, what he was doing that the others weren't doing was he was using tremendous amount of ability within his ankle joint to be able to move his balance heavily to the front and quickly to the back of the ski, using fore and aft to be able to make the ski do like a little dolphin turn he could do almost static on the ground. And I have to stress this when it comes to ski drills. To me, it was appropriate at that time because this group that I had could probably ski round for the next 11 weeks and maybe not actually get that much better if they do not address now this fundamental issue that they must not sit just in the middle of the ski. They have to use the length of the ski in its entirety and understand being more forward and more back, more to the left, more to the right, more rotated or less rotated, and how that affects, and play with those concepts and not be closed off to playing with those concepts. However, one thing that I will note at this point, and I'll watch how long this podcast is at the minute, because I want to come on to this, is what is actually stopping the majority of skiers from progressing to the next level. And I'd like to address that separately. But that is where we're at on the ski drill that side. I don't know if you have
It's interesting because I had that group as well.
You did, yeah, right.
A couple of weeks later, and Charlie, it was one of the days we had a lot of powder, and again 4.5 in the powder. And another thing he can do that the others couldn't do is 360s, 420s, and many other things. And I kind of just went, okay, Charlie, crack on.
You're good enough. Get on with it. Yeah, and it's. I hope we have a couple of trainers coming through as well that are a bit like that. And I sort of embarrassed one of them because I asked them a very simple question that they then couldn't answer. Fantastic skier though. I want my trainers to be good skiers, but I want them more importantly to be able to answer the questions, because you don't need to be this absolute, let's face it, not every coach in the world comes from being an expert at their, Olympic gold medalist or whatever. They can just come from, sports coaching in general, and they're just bringing in their ideas into that sport. It's very important we know the answers to some of these questions. And indeed, although I didn't tackle David's point regarding the boot fit, although I did reply to him and say, yeah, great feedback, David, whatever. The point is he has to understand that the boot fit was set up with Jamie as a model as such. So now Jamie is a fantastic technical coach. He's probably one of the best that's out there when it comes to technique, but he'll be the first to tell you, if we start talking mechanics, go and speak to Paul. And this boot fit video was about mechanics, and you can't discuss mechanics unless you understand the origins, the insertions, understand the biomechanics. And that's why at times I would have been a little bit quick to shut Jamie off, because I didn't want him going off on a tangent about technique. This was very specific to mechanics. So apologies for that, David. But just be aware that, Jamie's a fantastic technical coach, and he's listened to by people all the time, including me as well. So that is it.
Good stuff. Comments below, folks. Like it, share it, subscribe, and all that jazz.
Ciao, Misha.